Great. Okay. Well, everyone, we are so excited to welcome you here today. We are so happy you're here to learn all about Babe Original's impressive growth throughout the years of working with Current. Now, we have the pleasure today of speaking with a very special person, Haley from Babe Original, who has helped their program grow into $1 million machine. There are a lot of nuggets we're going to be throwing out today. So make sure you stay all the way until the end because we do have a little surprise that Haley is going to share with you guys. As a quick reminder before we dive in, this webinar is being recorded today. And if you're interested in a copy, feel free to send us a note and we can definitely make that happen. Well, to get started, I am Paige Hope. I run the client success team here at Current and make sure brands like Babe Original are happy and achieving their goals. I'm sure you guys all know who Babe Original is, but those of you who do not know, Babe is a beauty and lifestyle brand focused on cultivating a diverse community of all different types of ages and people to celebrate what makes them individual and original, which we will share with you guys a quick video about that as well. Babe has been working with Current for a few years now, and we've been able to be part of their growth. I've actually personally been able to be on their account back in the day as well, and just seeing all of the things that they've personally done to build community, grow with revenue, but then also grow these deep relationships with a lot of their ambassadors. So they have a lot of awesome, tangible things today, and I'm really excited to intro you now to Haley Goodman. So Haley is Babe Original's content and community manager who has used her content creation and social media skills to skyrocket the brand's growth. So I also wanted to throw in, she is the owner of Hungry in Dallas, a popular food and lifestyle blog where her content actually reaches an average of 1.6 million visitors every 60 days. So go check her out. She definitely knows what she's doing. And I'm really excited for her to share some tangible things that you guys can do to help skyrocket your brand's growth as well. Haley, did I miss anything on your intro?
No, thank you so much. I think you covered pretty much everything. I'm super excited to be here. I've been with Babe about a year, and even in that short time, I've seen the program, do a 180. But I also just want to shout out the rest of the Babe team because I did inherit like an already growing program and a great brand to represent. So I'm excited to talk about what all the creator community stuff that we're going to be chatting about today.
Amazing. Okay, well, I am going to first share a quick video that Haley actually sent us of the entire Babe vision. And the reason that I love this is because in just 20 seconds, they're able to get across who their brand is and their target audience. So it's a really beautiful 20 seconds that encapsulates all of that. So while I'm pulling that up, we can briefly share this quick clip. Wow. I love that, Haley. I love that. So we wanted to intro that because Babe has done a really, really good job cultivating this massive community, but also utilize their brand as a way to actually get across a beautiful mission and voice. So without further ado, we are going to dive in and talk through Haley's journey with Babe Original, how they've been able to grow this massive community, and the many learnings along the way. So as a quick reminder, if you guys have questions throughout this webinar, feel free to send them in the chat. We have some team members monitoring that. And of course, we have our own as well. So excited to dive right on in and share some of her amazing knowledge with each of you guys. So to kick this off, Haley, tell us a little bit about how this even started. I want to touch on the why. Why build this massive community?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been a Babe for about a year, but I think over the past 5 years, the industry as a whole has turned like creator marketing used to be this like nice to have lever in your marketing strategy that you could pull when you needed to, but it has grown so much in the past 5 years that it's really like an essential one to have in your strategy nowadays. And I think Babe, our why was just we saw a need for it early, we saw the value in it early. and we hopped on board. I think the stat out there is that like 85-ish% of brands attribute brand awareness directly to the creator communities, whether it's ones that they've built or just their creator community that already exists. And it's a little lower than that, but it's still like over 70% of those brands track direct impact from creator marketing to their bottom line and to sales and revenue. So that's really our big why. We know it's important, we know it's essential, and we just embraced it and committed and invested to it early.
Yeah, no, and I love to hear that, because what's fascinating is when you guys first started, you didn't have this many. And now you are in the well beyond in the thousands. So, one, I'm going to pull up just so everyone can see what that looks like, but talk us through that growth trajectory a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've seen this chart and it's so cool to see the numbers like in a visual way because I'm looking at them kind of every day. But it is nice to see the growth over the past few years. I'd say that, it's important to try to find the people that are already fans of your brand and, bring them in and have them join your community. But I think we've also done a really great job of, making people fans of Babe Original. So maybe they didn't know the brand existed or they, had tried another lash serum and they were trying Babe for the first time. And so I think we've done a great job at, building a brand that people can be proud of, that people want to be a part of the community. And so we created fans of Babe Original as well. I'd say that your community, whether it's in the, under 1,000 or up to 5,000, any size, they can be your biggest advocates.
Yes.
And I want to create personal relationships with all 5,000 of our affiliates and ambassadors. But it's just really great to see that there's people out there that love the brand as much as me and that they come out in numbers. They're a huge resource and huge advocates for us.
Yeah, well, it's just fascinating to see this because we've been working with you guys for so long as well. So, looking at this trajectory, I mean, a lot of brands wish they could be in this position as well. So, excited to dive into the rest of that. Now, you kind of mentioned having these brand advocates and what they can do, but I want to transition a little bit to this next slide and really get into these KPIs and how you guys have been able to accomplish this, but also what you guys actually measure in terms of KPIs and how you use your ambassadors as a way to increase your overall marketing awareness in terms of traffic growth and even new customer ratios.
Yeah, so obviously traffic and new customers are like the end goal. It's the ultimate goal of building a creator community, and with any kind of brand, that's your goal. And I think all the little things we do to hit our other KPIs and our other success points are what give us these numbers and what ultimately earn us those new customers and the traffic year over year. I'd say like some things that I didn't really think about when I first started with the ambassador program, because I inherited a program where the goal was to get people product in their hands and to have them post about us. And so some that like I didn't personally expect were just that they are here to support us even before a product is being sent out to them. So we, before products are launched, we reach out to them and ask them for reviews to gain credibility. We just recently broke into the hair space this year, and we could not have done it without our ambassadors. And it was really just sending them the product and having them try it and then building that trust with them. And they were like, well, we love it, so we're going to tell other people about it. And that's where those new customers come in, because we can't necessarily reach, all the people with our own personal social media accounts. But if we have 1,000 ambassadors who are all posting how much they love this, and their followers are, different follower accounts, of course, but they're amplifying our brand message onto their accounts as well.
Right. Because you guys have cultivated such a strong base of fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some even call them super fans, and you guys even call them like they're just an extension of your brand, right? Like you're using them to actually amplify your existing business through these reviews and even product feedback. So I think a lot of brands don't realize the impact that ambassadors can have in terms of just product pipeline, understanding what your audience wants. They told you
Mm-hmm.
they wanted hair products, you're out there launching a hair product. So it's really,
Yep.
really cool that you guys have been able to actually utilize them as a way to help with product roadmap as well. So I would love to hear
Yeah.
that. So would you do anything differently if you were to do it all over again? I know you came in about a year ago and you've completely 180'd it and just gone through a lot of different examples of building relationships and maximizing that revenue. But looking back a year ago, is there anything you would have done differently? And what were those first steps?
Um, I don't know if I would say we do anything differently because we didn't see anything, crash, burn, and fail. But I would say that like the first step is really to take a step back and set goals. I think goals are super important, and if you don't know what you're working towards, there's not a lot of good ways to put those steps in place to get them. So setting goals for yourself and your community, and we kind of have 3 tiers in our program, which I think is an important thing to note. Not everyone has the initial goal of conversion and sales driven right away. And
Mhm.
so we're not going to just be looking at people's conversion rates when accepting them into the program, because the goal for, our first tier is really just UGC content and brand awareness. So setting up those goals and then following through and bringing in and finding the right people that are going to help you meet those goals, I think is something that could have been done earlier in the program, but is one of the first things that I focused on when I started at Babe.
Yeah, no, I love to hear that. Before you guys were even on Current, what were some of those things that you guys measured back in the day? Was it primarily UGC, or where do you feel like brands need to start? Because you can't get, ROI right away, right? So where would you say brands should really start when building a community like this?
Yeah, like I said, that goal setting is the first place to start, and also aligning it with all of your other marketing initiatives. They I'm just trying to think back to when I started and what my process was.
Yeah.
But I would say that looking for, whether it's the people that you're working with or what kind of campaigns you're running, looking for what's going to get you, engage in your community and what they like. So like I think we talked about that positive feedback. We're always asking our ambassadors, what do they want to try next? What products haven't they tried yet? What do you guys want to learn about? And so really talking to those people that are already fans of your brand and matching them where they want to be is a great way to start.
Yeah. Well, and you just brought up campaigns, and it's a great segue. Jeff just asked, what are some of your favorite campaigns you've done with creators, and why do you think they were effective?
Recently we did a custom sound for one of our products on TikTok, and we hired someone to make up a dance to the song, but we sent out the sound as a campaign to our ambassadors and just asking them to do whatever they wanted to the sound, and that's been really fun to see them, whether they're using the product or dancing in their own bedrooms. I think that's been one that's newer, um, and that was really fun to see. So that's one of my favorites more recently, and I think a tried and true campaign that we do all the time. It's kind of our welcome campaign when someone joins the program, is before and afters. And I
Mhm.
think you should play into the strongest selling point of the product and your business. But for us, that's our real results that you can see. And so one of my favorite, videos to see from ambassadors coming in is just their transformation, their before and afters, showing what their lashes look like before the product versus afterwards. And so that's probably my favorite one overall.
Yeah, especially because they get to have a little bit more creative freedom with how they actually share what that process was like in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you touched on when you said you need to work on that value prop. So if you don't know what that value prop is and you're a brand trying to work with creators, really understand and potentially even ask some creators and bring people into your community to just understand and learn as much as you can, because it probably
Mm-hmm.
took you guys a little bit to see, okay, these types of posts and these types of creators perform the best in terms of engagement. Now these creators perform the best in terms of conversion. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a longer gameplay to it, and you guys have been able to really stick with it and learn, okay, this is what's actually delivering tangible results for our brand. Let's lean into it. I love that.
For sure.
And then we've got a second question from Jeff that I want to quickly get an answer to, and then we'll go back to a few other
Mm-hmm.
questions. What do you do if you send product to a creator and they don't post? This is a very common question among a lot
Mm-hmm.
of brands.
So, and the answer is not black and white. It's hard to track all, especially when you get into the thousands of creators. It's like who is actually posting versus who's not. In our program, we kind of have a simple, like strike based process where if there's always things that happen, and you have to understand that like an ambassador may post 3 months after because
Mhm.
they,
Yeah.
depending on how many brands they're getting product from, it could be sitting in a pile of packages. But with our campaigns, we give them, 30 to 60 days to post. And if they get product 3 consecutive times without posting anything and like there's no brand mentions coming from their page, that's when we usually remove them or send them a warning from the program being like, hey, we saw you've opted in, but you haven't been posting. Is everything cool? And I try to do that on a one-on-one basis, but sometimes it's a mass email sent out,
Mm.
based on not logging into the platform, not posting. And we kind of have an audit system that we do every 6 months that I
Yeah.
started when I joined, where it was just like, hey, if you're not interested anymore, totally let us know. If you don't log in and opt into this campaign by blank date, we're going to be turning off your code and removing you from the program. So we try to give them a warning, but a lot of the times if they're, not posting, they're also not engaging in your emails or your messages. And
Right.
so we just kind of remove like inactive ambassadors every 6 months. And that usually takes care of the people that were getting products sent, but never posting.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. And I think people probably end up coming back to you guys once they see all of the action going on too. So you probably get a lot of repeat people coming in. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, speaking of kind of current and how you're going through this auditing system and all of that, when you guys started with current, your community was a little bit smaller. So at that point, what were some of the things that you needed help with in order to actually scale and grow the community, and why current was kind of that helpful solution?
Yeah, I would say we needed structure to scale because we started back, but way before me. It was a Google form and Instagram DMs and a Google Sheet housing all of our ambassador information. So the biggest thing was that we needed that structure. We needed ways to send out messages in bulk and do things in big groups once we started growing. Sending product to a bunch of people at once instead of placing an order with our customer service team or hand packing an order was a huge lever that we were able to, once we were able to do that on a bigger scale, we were able to include more people in our program. And also just having a place to store all the payments and messages so that if, I'm working on something, but someone else on my team is DMing that influencer, they can go into the platform and see what we've been chatting about and what product has been sent to them, and kind of there's like a history there. So when your program is growing fast and your business, maybe your team is even growing fast and multiple people have their hands on the same, campaigns, I think having all of that in one place is really big.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's important because when you actually want to grow a program, you can't do it all in a spreadsheet. I mean, you can, I guess, if you wanted 5,000, 5,000 payments to send out. But I think that's important to notice when you want to actually grow this massive community of super fans, having something where you can come in and manage it in a CRM based system, send out monthly product in mass bulk so that all creators that opt into these campaigns can receive it. And then you have that trust factor. I think that's one thing that we've learned over the years is when creators get paid at the same time every month, they start to develop a trust with the brand, and they start to know, okay, I can rely on this person. I know that the next time I post, I'm going to get some sales and I'm going to get product, then I'm going to get paid. And it really helps that flywheel of relationships just keep growing. And then you, of course, are able to work with these creators to maximize that even further to get the most out of it, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
it's been really great.
now going into some of the challenges, because that's all beautiful and amazing, right? We love talking about growing, scaling, and all of that, but with that comes a lot of challenges. So getting 5,000 creators in your guys' community, what were some of those success factors, but then also some of those key learnings that you just didn't really think would happen when you're growing a program this large?
Yeah, first I want to touch on like the biggest challenge, which is not an easy answer. The biggest challenge I think in growing a community like of this size is having that product that works and a brand message that people really love. And that's not something that can be easily fixed. So it's not like everyone's favorite answer, but having something in a product and a brand that people believe in is like the first step. And it's also the biggest challenge. Thankfully, when I joined, we didn't have to work through any of those challenges. We knew our brand, we knew who we were, and we had just went through a rebrand when I started, which was really, really great. But I also think one of the challenges that I faced was not focusing, like the number that is on their profile, the follower count, prioritizing partnerships with people who really love the brand over that number, because the number's flashy and those are the people you gravitate towards. They're getting that, maybe they go viral very often and you want to keep working with them, but they're also, the more expensive and they might not just be happy with product every month. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge that I faced that I wasn't necessarily expecting going in. It's kind of that mental battle of like, who do you really invest in? Because you can pay anyone to post about your brand and you may or may not see results out of it. But once you find the people that are worth investing in and that are already fans, and that may take a little bit longer to, find those people that are mentioning you, it might be a little more tedious instead of looking at, trending, who's trending on the For You page versus who's actually tagging your brand or Babe Original in the posts. I think that was a challenge, and we finally found a good system for, finding people. But it took a while.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We actually have some awesome questions coming in regarding this
Okay.
specifically. So Amy just said, do you have a large budget, so marketing budget to support growth like this, or do you gift products over paying ambassador? So more commission, flat rates. What does that look like?
Yeah. So again, it's kind of not what you want to hear, but we have a little bit of both. So in our program, there's 3 tiers. The bottom 2 are mainly where I focus a lot of my time, and that's gifted and commission-based collaboration. So those are the, micro and mid-tier influencers that are happy, getting product and getting commission and working their way up. So the first tier is kind of, your micro influencers, maybe UGC creators that don't really have an influence on social. And those people get gifted product if they opt into the campaigns, and they can work their way up to commission. So you don't even start out making any actual money because it just doesn't make sense from a business perspective to pay every single influencer to post about you. But we have a mid tier where you can earn commission. We kind of see how your code performs, how your audience likes Babe Original and the content that you're posting. And then we also have a third tier, which is the higher, macro influencers, the bigger creators that have a budget behind them. And there's another person on my team, Jesse, who manages those influencer budgets. But I would say, yes, we have a budget to support those bigger influencers, but a lot of the times we're finding them from, the squad 1 or the 2 different tiers underneath them and bringing them up. And I'm pitching them to Jesse. I'm telling her, this is what their code did in the ambassador program. Just imagine what they would do if we had them on contract. So it's like a yes and no answer. We kind of you have to have a balance of both. And there is a way to find those people without paying them before they've ever posted about the brand.
Right. Right. No, and I think that's interesting because we also have a tool called All Mentions within our platform where brands can actually see who is tagging them, and potentially they're not even a creator or part of the program. Mm-hmm. So you're able to actually reach out and see, okay, who's already a brand fan, because these people are going to post more organically. So creating that brand loyalty, even among just your follower base, is huge, because then you can recruit them into the program as well, which I think is what you guys do a lot of. And we really love that.
And there's a lot, I just wanted to add real quick, there's a lot of cross-functional with our social team and our, community team and influencer team, because our social team is on social every single day seeing these people. And I personally also help monitor our social media just so that I can find those people that maybe they didn't even tag us in their post, but someone asked them in the comments what they use on their lashes, or someone asked them and they answered with us in the comments. So having some kind of cross-functional agreement where if your social team sees someone mentioning you, there's some place for them to just drop these links or something, I think is a great hack to finding those people maybe that don't actually want to tag you, or maybe they didn't even mean not to tag you, but it doesn't show up in like social listening platforms. But just kind of being sneaky and finding them by using your social team is a great idea.
Right. Like, and that's actually really interesting, because we just had a question come in about how are you communicating with these social teams? So are you guys collaborating weekly, or do you guys have a shared spreadsheet? How does that look internally so that you're maximizing efforts on all organizations?
Yeah, our social team and I, we actually share a Slack channel. So it's nothing too fancy. But whenever I see maybe a bigger influencer that's tagged us, or that used our product but didn't mention us, I'll send it in that channel. And we all everyone on the influencer team is in that channel, and we moderate it. We look at, if this person, depending on their size, who takes them, who takes over, DMing them. It's a lot of the times it's us sending their video to them in their Instagram DMs and being like, we saw that you love Babe, or that you use Babe. We'd love to send you some more product. And then we, depending on their size, we'll either send them product or we'll send them a link to apply to our program. And we take it over from there. So it's not, I would say, the most like fleshed out process. It's just being open and sharing with each other and staying on top of, that Slack channel. So
No, I think that's wonderful. I think not enough organizations actually communicate cross-functionally. So even
mhm,
a Slack channel, whatever you guys can do to communicate internally, even you just logging into the social account is so
mhm,
helpful because you can discover new creators every day. I think that's what's so fascinating about the world that we live in is, I mean, creators are blowing up overnight and they're discovering new products all the time. And what's really cool is you guys actually have that brand where you're reaching out directly, you're commenting on everyone's posts, you're making them feel so valued and loved. And then
mhm.
that's what draws them into you guys, where then when you recruit them into your program, you have a really high conversion rate because of that trust factor that we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So now I want to dive into, so we're kind of in the recruiting phase a little bit. You guys might find some of these creators, you want to onboard them. I want to talk about a really clean onboarding process and what that looks like. So as I'm pulling a quick slide up, I would love for you to kind of chat through, what that looks like for you guys and how you've been able to have a really strong onboarding process with the technology side of Current.
Yeah, I would say that onboarding was one of my biggest focuses, that and the audits when I first started at Babe, because there wasn't a great process for onboarding. But we have a welcome campaign that's open all year round. And it's kind of just an ongoing campaign where once they're accepted in the program, they're invited to this campaign. And that's like their first, they get the invite to that right when they start. It's in their email. And just having clear next steps, not making it too complicated for them. It's 1, 2, 3, it's opt in, get your product, and post,
Mm.
and being very clear about what you need from them from the get go. And also telling them that in a few different ways. So I think we've gotten really creative at Babe with we send them an email, but in the email, there's a link to a video. So it's actually me sitting
I
here
love
like this and talking to
that.
our ambassadors, and I walk them through whatever tier they get into, there's a different video, and I walk them through, like, I welcome them, and I tell them a little bit about the program, and I give them next steps. So I'm like, don't forget to take your before pictures when you get your product in and update us in 6 weeks afterwards. And I kind of show them a little bit of screenshots of how Current works. And I, make sure they know you have a link to log in this email. So make sure you go back and log in. And we've just recently added an exciting incentive in that video that's a code where if they send us a code word from the end of the video into the chat, they get a discount to like stock up on products for a
That's
discount
fantastic.
for a limited amount of time. So I've had like quite a few people already watch that video all the way through, and I understand not everyone's going to, but it's kind of been cool to really test how many people are listening to the instructions all the way through. And we also added a little flyer in the welcome package. So part of this welcome campaign is that our ambassadors get a little bag, and it has 2 products in it. And then in the package that they get, there's also a flyer, and it says welcome to the Babe crew or welcome to the Babe squad. And it gives them next steps. So having those clear next steps and instructions, but telling them that in a few different ways. If we don't hear from someone in a little while, sometimes I'll DM them. It really depends on my bandwidth. And, if I personally found that creator and I really want to work with them, sometimes I'll go DM them and be like, hey, here's the link to opt into the first campaign. Let me know if you have any questions. So hitting them in all different spots really early on is important, because once they forget that they're in the program, there's almost no going back. Like you can follow up a few months later, but if they were accepted and within the same week they got an email that said their order was on the way, that's like our goal. It's always to get to them fast so that we're top of mind.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful because so many people are just like, hey, if I send product, they'll post for me right away. But that's not the case, right? Everyone is
Mm-hmm.
actually sending everyone products these days. So how is your brand going to set yourselves apart and actually get that individual contribution? Because you guys are doing that about 100 people a month. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you guys actually organize that where you're managing 100 new creators a month? Is it really just through this mass communication through the platform? What is
Mm-hmm.
your team particularly doing to increase that participation ahead of time?
Yeah, so when people are applying and we're trying to get those acceptance, like you said, about 100 a month, we have a team of 2, which includes me, that's going in and vetting those applicants. And then once they're in, they're added to a group, which Current does a great job of being able to separate people based on, where they're located, or you can pretty much make a group for anything. And we have a group for, the tier. When they get accepted in the program, they're put into a group that matches their tier. And we're in that chat all the time, welcoming them. We also have group chats for a campaign. So when they're added to the welcome campaign, there's like a group of maybe 10 of them or 15 of them at a time, because I do those once a week. Every Friday, I send an order out and send them product. And so in that group, it's like, hey, your order is being sent out. Like, here's some, like, let us know when you get it in. If you have any issues, let us know. It's a lot of just over communicating, letting them know we're here, reminding them that their product's on the way, and being able to separate that. I think Current has done a great job, and it's been a huge help to be able to, I don't have to spam every single person in the program. When one new person gets their product, I can go into our messages and message them individually or in their small group of, depending on when they got their order. And that's been really great.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And I think what you guys are doing with the onboarding process is really fascinating, because you're taking videos of yourselves. Then they feel like they're in a direct relationship with you. Because another question that came up was, how do you get them to not just be in it for the money? And you guys take a very personalized approach, but you're able to do it at scale because of the systems that you've been able to build. And then, of course, with the technology stacked on that as well. So if you were to give one piece of advice on building this through a technology, or actually helping automate some of these onboarding processes, not everyone potentially has. I mean, you're only a team of 2, which is still crazy what you guys are able to do with just 2 people. But starting a little bit smaller, what is the most important thing when onboarding creators?
I would say being personal and authentic in your messages. We have it's match your brand tone, of course, but the first thing you can do is make them feel welcome with your message. And that's, it's pretty simple, but we use emojis in our messages. We, call them, say their name in their message, and make them feel like it's a genuine partnership. And I think that's one of the best ways to avoid it becoming this transactional partnership, is just to talk to them like they're your best friend. Of course, you have to balance it with professionalism, but a lot of these creators, especially the micro and nano influencers, this might be one of their first true interactions with a brand that's not just, buying their product at Sephora and posting it on TikTok. And so making them feel welcome. It's not the first thing I do when we welcome them into the program, but I also think that asking for their feedback, we talked about it earlier, pulling them for their opinions and asking for feedback, sending them, if even if, and it sounds a little superficial, but even if your team has already decided on what color your bottle is going to be for your upcoming product, I love to send those questions. And I try to do it early enough, obviously, to where we really pull them for their feedback. But just, giving them that sense of that they're included, they're part of the team. We have a group called Babe Lab, which is a smaller group from our ambassadors that our new product development team has pulled, and they get products ahead of time. They're like, hey, this is a secret. Please don't post about it, but we want to know your, experience with this product. So making them feel like it's a genuine partnership, and asking them for their opinion all the time is a great way to make sure it's not super transactional. And it's not just in it for the money. Also giving them freedom. I don't think, asking them for 10,000 deliverables in one campaign, that's obviously an exaggeration, but just being authentic to them, because they know their audience best. And if a brand is giving them the freedom to, okay, here's, some inspiration, here's a direction to go, but you have creative freedom to figure out what you want to do, it makes it feel like it's less of a job. It's like, oh, they're giving me this product to post about and some ideas, but ultimately I get to pick what I post on my social media. That'll make them feel more like genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys give your ambassadors any coaching materials on how to create really quality content? Do you feel like there are some misses there, some wins there? What does that look like?
So we started doing monthly or like bi-monthly webinars with them, or just like online events, kind of like this through Zoom. And we haven't done any this summer, which I'm hoping to get back to it in the fall. We've just had a crazy summer. But in some of those, we like to chat about content creation or trends in the beauty industry. We I try to, help them make the best content. I do that a lot by sending links and sending examples to what's working. I'll say, hey, this video just went viral with this sound. If you guys want to hop on that early, it doesn't even have to be about Babe. Like, this isn't required for a campaign, but if I see something on social and I have time to just send it in the group chat, I'm like, guys, this sound is trending. Check it out. Send us the link if you make a video, kind of thing. And a lot of the times they'll use, because I'm sending them that, they'll use Babe product in the video. But it's not like a full-on campaign using this trending sound. It's just kind of here and there helping them where, maybe a social team sends some stats or something interesting in our internal messages. And then I'm like, hey, let me share this with my ambassadors, because we're kind of, we all have that interest in content creation and social media. So we do try to provide value in that way to them.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I think that's huge because one, it shows that you guys know what's trending in market, and how you can remain competitive in this landscape is to actually be on the top of it. And what's really cool about what Babe is doing is I see you guys on every single trend there ever is, right? And so your social team, but then that also means your ambassadors, because your ambassadors are just doing what you guys are doing because you have that tight community. So going into that and how to even achieve that, engagement over time is huge, right? So when ambassadors come into the program, I call it coming into the funnel. Well, what do you do when you're in the funnel? You guys are launching monthly campaigns, you're posting in the chat, you're incentivizing, you're sending surveys, you're doing all of these amazing things to help with engagement over time. What would you say of all the things that you guys do to increase participation, whether that's through content and revenue? What is the main thing and the main engagement driver that you find is most helpful to Babe?
That's a good question. I want to say, fall off and people not necessarily being in every single campaign is inevitable. It's why it's important to do those audits. You can't win every single time. You can't have all, 1,000 people opt into every single campaign. So being realistic with that is a good place to start. But I think we do a really great job. I think you said the incentives are the biggest part. We have a clear process for our ambassadors on how they can move up and within the program. And so giving them that incentive is a great way to keep them engaged in all the different campaigns that we do. I also, now that it's on the screen, want to mention, we've already talked about being authentic, but being quick to respond that's what I mean by attentive community management is we try not to let a message go over 48 hours without being answered in our current portal. And it's hard, but they know that if they don't hear from us in 24 hours, 48 hours, that they send up a follow-up message, and that doesn't happen very often, I'll be honest, but they know that we're there to help them. And so if they have a question, we're quick to respond. And then surprising them every once in a while. Surprise and delight is a huge way to keep people checking their email, checking for Babe stuff, because they know that I send out, every month or so. Maybe it's not during a campaign, but if we need them to comment on our Instagram post and submit a screenshot, we'll send some extra free products. So surprising them with giveaways and different promo codes and things like that keeps them, because I want to say, like, they'll open our emails if they see them, but if they're not looking for us, it's hard to reach them with all the other stuff in their inbox. And so knowing that Babe is there, like when you see a Babe email, it's probably going to have something valuable of value to me, is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Wow. I told everyone there was going to be a ton of golden nuggets in this webinar, and there are so many. Again, will send this recording out to everyone. I know there's been a couple messages that have come in, so we will absolutely do that. I want to, open up some questions to the floor if there are any additional questions, because we have covered everything from how to maximize revenue out of creators, growing a community, how to increase engagement. There are so many things that you guys can do to actually grow and cultivate that loyal fan audience through all of the tactics that Haley shared with you guys today. So opening it up, want to see if there are any additional questions, and then if not, I'm going to turn this over to Haley to share a fun little tidbit giveaway we're going to be doing at the end of this.
Yeah.
Looks like, we just have a question from Cassandra. What is your favorite Babe original product?
Oh, well, that's a fun question and an easy one. Honestly, my favorite product right now is our glossy rinse. We just broke into hair care. I mentioned that this year. And the lash serum is an easy answer, so I'm not going to give you the easy answer. My favorite Babe Original product is our glossy rinse right now. My hair has never felt shinier, more healthy, and I want someone that wants a quick fix. I don't want to have to go to the salon. And so the glossy rinse is like, it takes 5 seconds every time I shower, and it's my favorite thing for my hair. And the smell, I will say, is like very luxurious, and it just like I could smell my hair right now, but I won't because we're in a webinar, but it smells so good.
I love it. Have you ever, so we have another question. Have you ever changed your commissions throughout the program? And how do you decide when to change those commissions?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And we actually did have to do that. So when I started, none of the ambassadors were making commission, but there were a lot of our top in our top tier that maybe didn't actually post their code. They weren't really they weren't participating. And so our team was like, how do we demote these people from getting 15%, having 15% codes and earning a bunch of commission to being back in our program, in like the campaign style program where they get invited every month. And it is tricky, and you have to kind of do it on a, you could do it in a mass email, but people aren't always going to read it. So you have to, send a few of them, send a group message. And we just kind of tell them that our structure is changing, because if they're not, if there's a reason that we're moving their commission down or moving their code down to from 15 to 10%, it's usually because they're not being active. We're not going to like punish someone who's really performing well. And so telling them that it's a system-wide structure change, and that, you're still going to get blah, blah, blah. You're still going to be invited to try all this new product, but from now on, your code is blank or your commission is blank. There's probably always going to be one or two people that are like, hey, why is this like, I don't want this. And then you have to take it on a case by case basis. And if, they are of value to you and you want to keep them at the higher commission for a little while, you can. But we've done it that way. And then we also had the opposite happen, where I wanted to announce to everyone that they could earn commission if they were in our second tier, because before there wasn't a huge difference between our first and second tier. And even to this day, people don't realize that they have a personal code. And they've maybe been posting and tagging Babe, but they haven't been sharing their code. And so we sent like a welcome to Babe Squad. You're moving up to the second program. You're now eligible for commission. Check your account for your new code. But it's also great to have a campaign centered around that update, so that people know, okay, I'm opting in for this product, and then the first thing in the campaign is program update, or you know giving them that information top of mind when they were going in to get some free product or to opt into a new campaign. And you can get that point across there. I think we did that last year when I started, and it was a great way. People seemed to read that more than, a group message or an email.
No, I love that. And I think another common question, I believe this is in the chat as well, is if someone is doing really well on commission, so say they are just crushing sales, you guys are really wanting to invest in them, do you offer a monthly flat fee for them since they do see that continuous commission, or do you keep them at commission, and how do you separate the two?
I usually pitch those to like the other people on our influencer team. So if I see that they're getting commission on a regular basis and their code is performing really well, I'll send it over to them. And if they want to work with them, we do 3-month contracts. We're not really doing a monthly flat rate for any longer than that, because things change in 3 months. Someone might grow or someone's engagement might tank. So we try to keep long-term partnerships around 3 to 6 months. But it's case by case. It's like once I see that they're in the top of our sales reports for more than 1 month, if the way that I keep them is if, it's their account is still pretty small and it's mostly like from them going viral, then we'll kind of keep them in Babe Squad. But if they're performing, there's no reason not to, invest a little bit more in them and move them into a contract role, because you can always, you know, it's not the best. You don't want it to not perform, but if their contracted videos don't perform, you can just be like, we don't have the budget anymore. We're going to go back to just that commission based agreement. And usually, since they started there, they're a little more willing to stay at commission. So there's no like real harm in trying a contract, as long as they know it's not for a whole year. You're not getting flat rate for a whole year. We're committing to like 2-3 months at a time.
Yeah, no, I love that. So we have a really good question here. And I know we don't have a ton of time left. So I'm going to try to get through some of these.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for asking all of these questions. We love this. We'll have to have Haley back, is what it sounds like. So it looks like this person has a small team of two, and they're looking to understand how they should separate out their influencer and ambassador program.
Mhm.
So if you were to give a quick piece of advice for that, what would you say if they're just starting out?
Yeah, some of the things that we use to separate our tiers and I have found really successful is with like the lower tier is really the goal is UGC and brand mentions and brand awareness. So those are the kind of people that we accept into that program. And then the top tier or the middle tier is people with quite a bit of followers that have influence over their community and maybe go viral pretty often or their code performs. And then to separate those two even more, I would put some kind of separation so that once they reach a certain amount with because we use the link tracking feature in current. And so once their link tracks $1,000 in sales, 2,000, like whatever threshold you want to set, then you can move them between the two. That's probably been our biggest success for like keeping those two separate. It's like once you hit a certain number, you can move up and get your personal code. But we do have two different goals for those two programs. We're not accepting, the same type of creators into those two programs.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we have a question about that is, should we be telling these creators to post their code and link? And the answer honestly is yes. We want to be able to track that. And through Current, we
Mhm.
have the ability to actually see the sales that come in through these creators. So the question for you, Haley, is how do these creators make it so that it's genuine when they're sharing a code? Do you feel like the audience takes it as inauthentic, or what does
Mhm.
that look like to you guys?
We've found that it does depend on the creator. If someone's used to posting on their story every single week with, the same few codes, people are going to trust them. So it depends on how much trust they have with their audience. But a great way to suggest that they send people to their link is just say, it's linked in my profile, it's linked in my bio. Because you're not like saying, I have a code that will get you 10% off and I have permission and all of the kind of jargon that makes it feel like an ad. If you're just saying, hey, this is my favorite product, I use this, it's linked in my profile. And that's one of the reasons I love that we start with a link tracking with our smallest tier because we can still track whether or not they're converting if they're sending people to their link. And then they're used to sending people to a link even once they have a code, and you can build that code right into the link and get them a discount.
Yeah, yeah. I love how you guys do that too. And it's becoming more and more popular because I think people see the value in it and getting used to sharing something with their audience. And then they get
Mm-hmm.
that repetition. So Danielle says, I have followed Babe for years. How has your strategy changed over the year? So you've been a year in, so I'm sure you've been able to
Mm-hmm.
hear kind of the mumblings of what's been happening in the last 3 years, but you guys have absolutely blown up on every single social platform. Everywhere, I swear there's Babe. So what has changed and how do you guys feel like each individual team has helped contribute to that?
Yeah, I'll say that I don't think our core goal or our core strategy has changed too much. It's always been about finding people that love Babe, amplifying their voice, and sharing that with them. But having someone on the team that's devoted to the program, so that was what was missing before. We didn't have someone thinking through campaigns as their primary goal for the month or their primary to do, and so that was a huge reason that I think we were able to achieve the growth. But as far as strategy goes, we're always trying to come up with little creative things and different campaigns to do and ways to get our ambassadors to share about us authentically. But the end, like the base strategy has always been to find people and turn people into the biggest Babe fans. And the rest, I think, will kind of domino from there. If people really love the brand and we're able to get the brand in more people's hands, I trust that people will fall in love with the product. And that's like our number one goal.
Yeah. That's one thing I've noticed about Babe in general. Every single employee that works at Babe loves Babe. And that comes
Mm-hmm.
across when you're chatting with these ambassadors. So, for all of you guys trying to build these programs up, make sure your team is really backed behind your product too. I think that that's really important. And Haley's able to also talk to these ambassadors and say, yeah, my hair smells so good. And like going back to the product, and then they can kind of bond on some of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
another question here. What is your favorite feature on Current that's been a game changer for your brand? I'm assuming it's probably the metrics or product seeding, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say product seeding is probably my personal favorite because it saves me the most time and is that would be a real hassle to send out product to the 800 ambassadors that opt in every month. So that's my favorite, and I like that I can set up a catalog for, our welcome kits, and all I have to do is go into that catalog and click the welcome kit instead of personally individualizing each product and, shipping it out manually or even sending it to our customer service team. I say that's probably my favorite feature.
I would say that is a lot of people's favorite feature as well, especially as brands are growing their programs and need to be able to bulk send. Okay, well, I am going to quickly wrap this up with Haley. One, I just want to thank each of you guys for hopping on. We are going to be doing more of these, so I think it's really important to note, stay tuned on that. And then Haley is kind enough where she is actually going to be giving away some Babe products. And we're going to do a little drawing here within the next
Mhm.
48 hours and ask for some addresses. So, Haley, can you
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about what's going to be sent to them?
Yeah, so we're going to send you one of our PR kits that we send to new influencers who we're trying to convince to join the Babe team. So that'll have like our hero products, the essential serum, brow serum, and I love our lip mask as well. So those will all be in a cute little Babe bag. I have it behind me, and I'll also throw in a lot of our new hair care line for you guys to try.
Amazing. Well, Haley, thank you so much. It's been so fun. I know our team absolutely just is honored to continue working with Babe, and we're so excited to continue to see more of the growth that you experience. And I know that everyone listening got so much value out of you today. So I just really appreciate you hopping on here. And then,
Yeah.
everyone, if you have any follow up questions, we can definitely send some sort of follow up email to make sure we answer some of those for you. But all in all, I hope you guys have
Yeah.
a good rest of your week, and we will chat soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.